Welcome to Clarity and Charisma Podcast.
From the Handcrafted English team. Hello and welcome back to Handcrafted English, the podcast where we take your English communication skills and polish them until they shine. I am Emma, your analytical guide through the beautiful, sometimes messy world of linguistics.
And I am Daniel, your resident guinea pig and fellow learner, usually the one making the mess.
Well, making mistakes is just part of the process, Daniel. But today, we are tackling a massive milestone for language learners. We are moving beyond basic transactional English. We aren't just ordering coffee or asking for directions today. Today, we are talking about connection. Specifically, how to tell a captivating story in English without losing your listener halfway through.
Oh man, this is huge for me. Telling stories in a second language is terrifying. Yesterday, I tried to tell our coworker Sarah about this crazy thing that happened to me at the grocery store. I swear, Emma, within 2 minutes, her eyes just totally glazed over. She looked like she was trying to calculate her monthly expenses in her head just to stay awake.
Let me guess. You told the story chronologically using the phrase, and then, about 14 times.
Hey, how did you know? It was exactly like that. I said, I went to the store, and then I saw a man, and then he dropped a box, and then, well, you get the idea.
It is the classic textbook trap. When we learn a language, we're taught to use sequential markers like next, after that, and then. While those are grammatically correct, they kill the rhythm of a natural story. They make your life sound like a grocery list.
It felt like a grocery list, a very boring one.
Right. A great story needs structure, it needs contrast, and it needs conversational anchors. So, Daniel, why don't you try giving us the raw, unfiltered version of that grocery store story right now? Give me the messy version, and we'll use it as our laboratory experiment for today's episode.
All right, no judgment from the listeners, please. So, yesterday, I went to the supermarket near my apartment. I wanted to buy milk. I was walking down the aisle. Suddenly, I saw a person wearing a giant dinosaur suit. He was holding 10 cartons of eggs. He dropped all of them, splat, everywhere. I laughed. The security guard came. I left the store because it was weird. The end.
You know, as a sequence of events, it's clear. But as a story, it feels flat. It's like reading a police report. There's no suspense, no color, and the pacing is very abrupt.
Ouch. I mean, you're right, but ouch.
Let's break down exactly how we can transform Daniel's dinosaur disaster into a masterpiece using 3 specific tools: narrative tenses, sequencing anchors, and idiomatic markers.
Let's start with the tenses, because I think I just used the past simple for literally every single sentence.
Exactly, and that's mistake number 1. For our A1 and A2 learners listening, the past simple is your best friend for actions that started and finished in the past. I went, I saw, I laughed. But if you only use the past simple, your story lacks a background, it lacks context. To fix this, we need to introduce the past continuous.
Right, the was and ing form, like I was walking.
Yes, think of the past continuous as the setting of a movie scene. It describes the atmosphere or the action that was already happening when something else interrupted it. So instead of saying, I walked down the aisle and I saw a dinosaur, what happens if we combine them, Daniel?
Let me try. I was walking down the aisle when I saw a dinosaur.
Perfect. Do you hear the difference? I was walking down the aisle sets the scene. It creates a smooth mental image for the listener. Then, bang, the past simple action interrupts it. I saw a dinosaur. This instantly creates a narrative rhythm.
Okay, I see that. It bridges the background action with the main action. But what about the phrases that make a story sound less like a textbook?
That brings us to our first target phrase, out of the blue. Daniel, do you know what that means?
It means completely unexpectedly, like it came out of a clear blue sky.
Exactly. It adds instant drama. If you say, suddenly I saw a dinosaur, it's fine. But if you say, out of the blue, this guy in a giant T-Rex suit appears, it catches the listener's attention. It emphasizes the shock factor.
Oh, I like that. So I was walking down the aisle minding my own business when out of the blue, a guy in a giant T-Rex suit rounds the corner.
Beautiful. Notice how you also added minding my own business? That's another fantastic conversational filler that sets a relatable contrast. You were just living your normal life and then chaos arrived.
Okay, so now the dinosaur is in the aisle. He's holding 10 cartons of eggs. In my original boring story, I just said he was holding eggs, he dropped them. How do we make the dropping part sound better?
This is where we need to talk about intermediate structural pacing. You want to build anticipation. Instead of just jumping to the result, give us a tiny detail about the struggle. This is where we can use a phrasal verb like wind up or end up.
How would end up fit there?
Well, to end up means to reach a final situation or result that wasn't planned. You could say he was trying to balance all 10 cartons, but he ended up dropping every single one of them. It shows that he tried to do something, but the chaotic result was inevitable.
That makes sense. It highlights the process, not just the fact. He ended up dropping them. And let me tell you, Emma, it was a mess. There was yellow slime everywhere. I stood there and honestly, I couldn't even move because I was laughing so hard. I had to stop and catch my breath.
Oh, hold on. You just used our next target idiom naturally, to catch your breath.
Did I? Oh, yeah.
Let's analyze that for our listeners. Literally, to catch your breath means to stop moving after running so your lungs can recover. But metaphorically, we use it when something is so funny, shocking, or overwhelming that we need a moment to process it. Saying, I had to catch my breath because I was laughing so hard, tells the listener exactly how intense the emotion was in that moment. It pulls the listener into your shoes.
Wow, I'm a genius. Look at me using idioms naturally.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Daniel. We still have to fix the ending of your story. Your original ending was, the security guard came, I left because it was weird, the end. It's very anticlimactic.
True, it just sort of fizzled out. How do I wrap it up like a pro?
To close a story effectively without an awkward silence, you need two things, a resolution marker and an exit phrase. For the resolution, we can use the phrasal verb turns out.
Ah, turns out. I hear native speakers use this all the time. It's like saying, this was the real truth that I discovered later.
Precisely. It reveals a hidden fact. For your story, what actually happened with the dinosaur? Did you find out why he was there?
Oh, yeah. I actually asked the cashier on my way out. Turns out it was a prank for a local YouTube channel.
See, that is a hook. Instead of just saying it was weird, saying turns out it was a prank gives the story a satisfying conclusion. It satisfies the listener's curiosity.
That is so much better. It ties up the loose ends.
And then to officially signal to your conversation partner that the story is over so they can start talking, you use the idiom long story short.
Wait, shouldn't long story short go at the beginning or the middle?
You can use it in the middle to skip boring details, but it's incredibly powerful right before your final sentence to summarize the conclusion. For example, long story short, I left the supermarket without my milk but with a great story. It signals to the listener, okay, the narrative arc is finished. Now it's your turn to speak.
Wow, long story short, it's like a magic spell that tells the other person, hey, I'm wrapping this up, get ready to talk. Because honestly, Emma, nothing is worse than that awkward silence when someone stops talking and you're not sure if they're done or just thinking.
Exactly, Daniel. It creates a clear linguistic boundary. Now, before we put your whole story back together, let's look at our final target phrase for today. Believe it or not.
Oh, I love this one. It's like a little teaser for the listener.
It is. Believe it or not is a brilliant conversational device because it directly challenges the listener's expectations. It implies that what you're about to say is so surprising, so unusual, that their natural reaction might be disbelief. Where could you inject that into your dinosaur disaster?
Maybe at the part about the eggs, like he was holding 10 cartons of eggs. Believe it or not, he didn't even use a shopping cart.
Yes, that is perfect. It adds a layer of descriptive detail that makes the story feel alive. It shifts the story from a flat report to a shared experience.
Okay, I think I'm ready. Let me try to put all of this together. The ultimate upgraded, handcrafted English version of the grocery store and scent.
The stage is yours, Daniel. Let's hear it.
So yesterday, I was walking down the supermarket aisle, just minding my own business. Out of the blue, this guy in a giant T-Rex suit rounds the corner. He was holding like 10 cartons of eggs. Believe it or not, he wasn't even using a basket. He was just balancing them in his giant dinosaur arms. Of course, he ended up dropping every single one of them. Splat, eggs everywhere. I had to stop and catch my breath because I was laughing so hard. The security guard came running over, looking totally furious. Long story short, turns out it was just a prank for a local YouTube channel. So I left the store without my milk, but with a hilarious story.
Claps. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Daniel. Let's pause for a second and analyze what just happened there for our listeners, especially those working through the B1 and B2 levels.
Yeah, because honestly, it felt way easier to say it that way. It flowed better.
It flowed because you created a narrative arc using structural contrast. Let's look at the mechanics. You started with the past continuous, I was walking, to establish the normal background. Then you used the idiomatic anchor, out of the blue, to signal a disruption. You used believe it or not to build curiosity. Ended up to show the inevitable consequence and turns out to resolve the mystery. Finally, long story short, wrapped it up in a neat little bow. You didn't use the phrase "and then" even once.
Wow, I really didn't, did I? It feels like a massive upgrade from my usual this happened and then this happened and then that happened routine.
It is a massive upgrade. And for our listeners at home, notice how Daniel also used vocal pacing. When he got to the climax, the eggs dropping, his voice sped up slightly, and then he paused after splat. Storytelling isn't just about the words you choose, it's about giving those words space to breathe.
That makes a lot of sense. But Emma, what about our A1 and A2 learners? Some of these phrases, like ended up or managing past continuous and past simple simultaneously, can feel a bit overwhelming when you're still trying to remember basic vocabulary. Do you have a simplified strategy for them?
Absolutely. If you are at an A1 or A2 level, do not panic. You don't need to master complex grammar structures to tell a good story. You can use what I call the but and because framework.
But and because. Give us an example.
Instead of using "and then," try to link your sentences using words that show cause and effect or contrast. For instance, instead of saying, "I went to the store, I saw a dinosaur, I laughed," an A2 learner can say, "I went to the store to buy milk, but I saw a dinosaur. I laughed because it was very funny."
Oh, I see. But introduces a problem or a surprise, and because explains the reason. That automatically breaks up the monotone timeline.
Exactly. It forces your brain to connect the ideas logically rather than chronologically. Even with very basic vocabulary, using but and because makes your speech sound much more dynamic and human.
That is a fantastic tip. So basically, no matter what your level is, the goal is to stop treating a story like a timeline and start treating it like a picture you were drawing for the other person.
Spot on, Daniel. Now, let's pivot to a common mistake that even advanced B2 learners make when telling stories in English. It's something I hear all the time in professional settings, and it completely kills the momentum of the conversation.
Oh boy, am I guilty of this one too?
Probably, but let's find out. It's the trap of the over-explanation.
The dreaded details.
Yes, when learners don't know a specific word or when they feel insecure about their English, they often over-explain background details that don't matter to the story. For example, if you had stopped your story to explain exactly which brand of milk you wanted to buy or why you prefer that specific supermarket because of the parking situation, the listener loses interest in the dinosaur.
Guilty as charged. I do that all the time because I'm trying to find the right words, so I just keep talking while my brain searches for the vocabulary.
Right, it's a defense mechanism. But in English storytelling, brevity is your friend. Listeners want the emotional peaks and valleys of the story. They don't need the administrative data. If you forget a word, skip it or use a simpler umbrella term. Don't let the search for a perfect noun derail your entire narrative train.
That's a really liberating piece of advice, actually. It's okay to leave things out if it keeps the story moving forward.
Exactly. Keep the momentum.
Keep the momentum. Got it. So note to self, no technical specifications about milk fat percentages or supermarket parking spaces next time.
Exactly. Unless the milk fat percentage is the exact reason the dinosaur slipped and fell, leave it out.
Fair point. All right, Emma, let's do a quick recap because honestly, my brain can only handle so much linguistic genius in one day, and I want to make sure our listeners have these locked down.
Let's do it. A quick pop quiz for you, Daniel, and for everyone listening at home. I will give you the definition and you give me the target phrase from today's episode. Ready?
Oh, wow, under pressure. Okay, I'm ready. Bring it on.
First one, to reach a final situation, place, or result that you didn't originally plan.
Oh, that's easy. To end up, like he ended up dropping every single egg carton.
Correct. Second one, completely unexpectedly or out of nowhere.
Out of the blue, like a giant T-Rex appearing in aisle 4.
Perfect. Third one, a phrase used to introduce a fact that is true but very surprising.
Believe it or not, as in, believe it or not, Emma actually complimented my storytelling skills today.
Hey, I compliment you all the time. Well, okay, maybe not all the time. Fourth definition, to rest for a moment to recover from excitement, laughter, or a shock.
To catch your breath, like when I had to catch my breath from laughing so hard at the egg disaster.
Spot on. Fifth one, to be discovered or proven to be a certain way in the end.
Turns out the whole thing was just a big joke for a YouTube channel.
And finally, your favorite magic spell to signal that your story's ending so the other person can speak.
Long story short, which I should probably use more often in real life.
Brilliant job, Daniel. You passed with flying colors. Now, for all our intermediate B1 and B2 learners listening at home, here is your homework for this week. Do not try to use all 6 of these phrases in one single story like Daniel did. That was an extreme laboratory experiment. Instead, just choose 2. Pick 2 phrases that you really like and try to inject them into your next casual conversation.
Yes, step by step. And for our A1 and A2 friends, remember your secret weapons, but and because. They are your shield against the and then trap. They will make you sound natural without overwhelming your vocabulary.
They absolutely will. Storytelling isn't about being perfect, guys. It's about building a bridge between your experience and the listener's imagination. Take your time, use your conversational anchors, and don't be afraid to let your sentences breathe.
Well, long story short, that is all the time we have for today's episode of Handcrafted English.
See? Beautifully applied, Daniel. Thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, keep crafting your English. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. See ya.